Hi, my name is Mandy Britton, and I have decided to do my presentation on Emily Dickinson. Hi, my name is Mandy Britton, and I have decided to do my presentation on Emily Dickinson. She was born in 1830 and died in 1886. This is a picture of her here. She was an American poet. She was born December 10th, 1830 in Amherst, Massachusetts, into a prominent family within the community. Her family had strong ties within the Amherst College there. This picture is actually of her home on North Pleasant Street, where she lived most of her life. However, she was born into the family homestead, which is now converted to the Emily Dickinson Museum. Most of the homes there were close to each other. She lived near most of her family. She was the middle child of three, and she never married. Her education consisted of district schooling for the first part of her life, and then she attended the Amherst Academy or Amherst College. Her father was a prominent member in that college. You can see here, this picture displayed is actually the library there at Amherst. After Amherst Academy, she entered the Mount Holyoke Female Seminary in 1847. She only attended a year here. It was the farthest that she had been away from her family. She had been known to be very close to her family. Her poetry was mostly kept to herself. The first known publication of her poem, Sic Transit Gloria Mundi, I believe that's how you say it, was published anonymously. They really don't know if she did this herself or if someone she had wrote to or shared her poetry with had done this for her. And it was published on February the 20th, 1852 in the Springfield Daily Republican. Her most intense writing years were done in her late 20s and early 30s. In this time, she composed almost 1,100 poems. She made like I said earlier, she made very few attempts to publish her work, and some that was published, scholars question whether she was aware about them being published or not. She mostly shared her stuff with her close family and friends. She did a lot of writing letters to family members or to people she found to be academically interesting. It was only until her death in 1886 that actually all of her poetry that was known was published. She composed about 800 poems known today as fascicles. They were handmade booklets. You can see pictures of them here. She binded them in leather, and about 800 of these she put actually in a book. But most of her work was kept private, and it was shared in some of her personal letters to her correspondences, people she would write to, or her family, friends, or the individuals she found intellectually interesting. Emily Dickinson's legacy consists of a total of about 2,500 poem manuscripts and about 1,000 letter manuscripts. So she sent about 1,000 letters with her poems, including in them. Publications in her lifetime. These are just a few of the publications that were publicized in her lifetime. most of these are debated upon scholars whether or not she did them herself or someone did it for her and done anonymously. Here is a picture of one of her poems called Flowers that was in a newspaper. In her later years, she underwent treatment for an eye condition in about 1864. It's now believed to be called iritis. After this treatment, she kind of ventured away from other things other than her homestead. She rarely went out to local parties, and she entertained mostly at her home. She also found love in her later years with Judge Otis Phillips Lord. She never married him, though. She just was romantically involved. Her death came after 2 years of ill health. In her writings before her death, she described to have headaches, nausea, difficulty breathing, dizziness, and stuff that now is led to believe that she died from heart failure. And back then, there was no really known treatment.